Atlanta News First starts now.
This is Atlanta News First. We are Atlanta's only locally owned television station, and we are on a mission to cover the stories that matter to you. Thanks for being with us. I'm Tracy Hutchins. Here's places in Myrtle Beach, parts of a pier collapsed into the ocean.
I'm Adam Murphy in Charleston, South Carolina, where Hurricane Ian did a number. The details straight ahead.
New images and video coming in from Florida revealing catastrophic damage, livelihoods destroyed. It's a struggle to find any open store, and after hundreds of rescues, it is still unclear how many people lost their lives. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson took her judicial oath today. Her first official term begins on Monday.
Yeah, you can hear the whole stadium yelling, Tua.
A scary moment for football fans and parents with kids aspiring, causing controversy and questions about why he was on the field in the first place. Happy early birthday, President Jimmy Carter. 9th Commander-in-Chief turns 98. And as we all count our blessings that Hurricane Ian turned, avoiding Metro Atlanta, there's to help the people impacted the most. Ian still on the minds of many. I'm joined by First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez. It really seems like the storm that kind of keeps on giving, unfortunately.
North Carolina just after 2 o'clock this afternoon, and now it's what we call a post-tropical cyclone. So still has some strong winds of 7. The storm is going to move north, so it is going to stay far from us here in North Georgia, but some of the outermost rain perhaps even a few sprinkles in far eastern Georgia. Here in Metro Atlanta and the rest of North Georgia, we will be dry as that system stays far from our area. About another hour of a wind. 30-mile-an-hour gusts across north and east Georgia. Those winds have stayed below that through the afternoon. I expect that to continue as this expires in the next hour or so. If you are heading out this evening, temperatures will be 5 to 10 degrees cooler tonight compared to where they were last night. We will see lots of 50s tomorrow, around 54 in Atlanta, 55 in Canton, dropping down to about 57 in Athens. Then we've got a great day tomorrow. Can't rule out a stray shower in East Georgia as Ian continues to move away from us. Otherwise, we'll see temperatures in the mid-70s with partly cloudy skies. It gets even better on Sunday. I can't wait to show you the rest of the weekend forecast, and I'll do that. We'll talk about a big warm-up in that 7-day forecast coming up.
We'll see you then, Jennifer. In the meantime, we are talking about the impacts of Ian today in Charleston, South Carolina. As Hurricane Ian roared ashore for a third time, some people were forced to wait if they needed emergency services. It was just too dangerous.
I'm Adam Murphy in Charleston, South Carolina, wading through about a foot of water here. Hurricane Ian did a number on this coastal city. Shut down due to the heavy rain and the flooding that occurred. Earlier this afternoon, the relentless rain and wild wind gusts created havoc. 50 miles per hour, dumping several inches of rain in just a couple of hours. And while most people hunkered down inside their homes, we did spot that floodwater was a few feet deep in some of the low-lying areas.
And we sent Atlanta News First crews to ride out the storm in Florida, where it could take months. Survivors that he met in the community of Northport near Fort Myers.
Luckily, Bill and Dennis, they were nice enough to take me along on their golf cart, and you can see some of this destruction firsthand. We're moving that was spared. Just so much twisted metal. You can actually look into this house right here. It's missing its front. It's missing a roof. Kitchen cabinets are still up. Kitchen cabinets, yes, they made it. Live in this community, maybe 70% of the entire community was affected. So many houses, as you're seeing, are just lost. I mean, it's going to take major repairs to bring them back. And Dennis, really, there's no telling of when power could be restored. I just checked most of this area, at least 80% of it is still without power. That's going to be a major focus for power crews today. But again, this is just some of the first looks from Northport of what the devastation, the damage looks like, and just this is ground zero. This is now the beginning of restoration, and it's going to be a long process.
So much damage there. And First Alert meteorologist Courtney Giacobazzi, she grew up in Florida. She caught up with other natives who are no strangers to hurricanes. They know what to do when one is coming.
People who live along the coast are used to the threat of tropical systems, but with how quickly Hurricane Ian's path changed, people who live here
storm changed from Apalachicola, Key West. We went, yes, no.
The cone from the National Hurricane Center shifted over 100 miles in just a few days.
In the park together, and we said, you need to be out of here. You need to be out of here by 5 o'clock.
Well, I know it must have been so difficult for people along the southwest coast. It is always important to have that action plan and your severe weather predictable. For Atlanta News First, I'm First Alert meteorologist Courtney Giacobazzi.
Storms like Ian are why you need the most accurate. Right now, grab your phone and come up to the TV screen. Scan the QR. You can check current conditions in live radar and watch video updates from the Atlanta. And a lot of you are still wondering about, and today there is some sense of security for a Georgia community still left wondering what happened. Of Debbie Collier getting attention around the world was no random act.
I'm Zach Summers in Rabun County outside the family. Debbie Collier's body on September 11th. Debbie was last seen inside the store a little before 3 p.m. on Saturday, September 10th. For 10 minutes before driving south on Georgia 15. That was Debbie's daughter, Amanda, told police she received a Venmo payment of more than $2. Investigators say they found Debbie's phone near her body. They have not determined. Authorities have ruled out suicide and kidnapping in this case. They say they are confident Debbie's death was personal and targeted.
And just last week, we talked about how a planned electric vehicle plant in Georgia could boost the already booming business of EVs in our state. Well, tonight, a word that the billion-dollar project could be in jeopardy.
Morgan County setting back plans to bring a Rivian plant to the state. Every year, but now those plans are on hold. A Morgan County Superior Court judge has denied $15 billion in bonds for Rivian to finance the construction of the facility, which included $1.5 billion in tax incentives documented. Attorney John Christie, who represents residents who oppose the project, says the issue came down to how the project was being financed. said they remain committed to bringing high-paying jobs to the area and intend to work with Rivian to move this project and see it through completion.
This is Atlanta News First. And if you're heading out and about in Atlanta this weekend, Chief Meteorologist Jennifer and a fall favorite returns to the city. Stay with us.
Is your local news? We are one investigation at a time. We are Atlanta.
Now at 7, you're watching Atlanta News First. You know, you don't have to watch. A lot of parents concerned that the NFL is setting a bad example after their handling of a star player's injury.
To a rolling left.
It started as a normal play. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa scrambled around looking for
The whole stadium yelling, Tua.
That was an emotional. The deal that anyone signs up for, even though you know it's a possibility in football.
According to head coach Mike McDaniel, Tagovailoa after a play just 4 days earlier against the Buffalo Bills.
They bring pressure.
After hitting his head on the ground Sunday, he grabbed his face mask, shook his head, and he immediately stumbled to the ground. The team, including Tagovailoa, called it a back injury, and he returned to the second half after the Dolphins say he passed concussion protocol.
Football happening across Metro Atlanta tonight, and the NFL controversy sure to be a hot topic, but concerns of safety on the football field.
Concerned because it's contact.
Safety protocols in football have been a hot topic for nearly 2 decades now. Those concerns have even over a 12-year period.
Although they're protected, you still have to worry about those underlying conditions that they could possibly get.
The Georgia High School Association, which oversees varsity sports throughout the state, has a pay. For example, if an athlete is suspected of having a concussion, they need to be evaluated by a healthcare professional. The GHS the same day of a concussion diagnosis, and they need to be cleared medically to return to the field. Tagovailoa was released from the hospital a few hours after that injury. The NFL Players Association is investigating whether proper injury protocols were followed.
Any sort of inclination that someone has a concussion, they go into the concussion protocol, and it's very strict.
So what are the signs of a concussion in a teenager? We went to the Mayo Clinic for some information on this, and we have it listed here on your screen. Let's take a look. A headache or feeling pressure on your head, nausea or vomiting, balancing problems, and also Don Shipman, Atlanta News First.
All right, let's get back to our big story tonight at 7. If you're like me, you've seen these videos in Florida, and we just wonder when we're looking at that, is there anything we can do? Are stepping up and pitching in.
I'm Rebecca Schramm in Southeast Atlanta. The local charity Caring for Others needs your online donations so they can load up trucks like this one and send emergency supplies to victims of Hurricane Ian. The organization is activating its convoy of care with the help of the Georgia law enforcement executives. Those nonprofits have teamed up several times in recent years to send help to disaster zones across the Southeast. If you'd like to help in Ian relief, we've got a link in our Atlanta News First app.
Well, that cleanup from Alert Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez, and we can see the storm. It's really not causing any problems for us here in North Georgia.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful Friday. We've got a great weekend ahead, but there are some changes. Not getting impacts from Ian is because it's just far enough away. East Georgia, it's been a little breezy, but this is the track of the storm. And notice, and eventually into Virginia, that's where those heavy downpours are located. And then we've got flash flood warnings in place across parts of North Carolina. Away, that far east Georgia may see some sprinkles, perhaps some clouds, a little bit of a breeze, but that's about it. So as we head mostly clear skies in Atlanta, notice the cloud cover stays well east of the city. Few little sprinkles there on the South Carolina. Chance of rain early tomorrow morning. Otherwise, we've got a beautiful weekend ahead. Outside right now, these clouds you see, those are actually nice afternoon. 75 degrees outside right now. We have seen a little bit of a breeze off and on. Right now we have sustained winds in Atlanta of 12 miles an hour, 10-mile-an-hour winds in LJ, Athens, only 5-mile-an-hour winds. So technically we've got about another 45 minutes of a wind advisory that is set to expire at 8 o'clock, and those winds can. There's that 20% chance of rain, and that's mainly east of Metro Atlanta. Otherwise, it will be clear and cool. 54 degrees last. Cooler tonight compared to our low temperature last night, and will stay below average. Our average low is 61 this time of year. This weekend, but as we head into next week as well. Sunday looks good. Saturday looks good. All weekend long. We will see those temperatures in the mid-70s. We will see plenty of sunshine as those temperatures stay in the mid-70s on Sunday. Then we'll gradually warm. Reach 80 by Thursday and Friday of next week. And as far as the 7-day forecast goes, with the exception of that 20% chance of smooth sailing, we'll keep it dry as we gradually warm up to those 80s on Thursday and Friday of next week.
Oh, Jennifer. And all weekend long at Truist Park, proceeds from the Braves 50-50 raffle, they go toward hurricane relief efforts. Look at that shot right there. Because this series is huge for Braves Nation. We're talking about playoff baseball and cooler temperatures as well.
The Braves and Mets begin a 3-game series, and this kicks off with an all-star pitching matchup. Jacob deGrom, who's pitched well since coming back from an injury. It's the Braves and the Mets, the first of a 3-game series, and this will certainly decide the National League East. Playing important games in October is always big, and there's no more important games than these 3 against the Mets.
All right, Fred, thank you. We were talking about playoff baseball and cooler temperatures. Fall is here, and so is the return of the Atlanta Fair. They are having a great time out there. The fair opened for the season just about 2 hours ago across from Georgia Stadium. You'll probably see it going down the interstate. All right, CBS 40 News at 7.
More coverage first from where you live. Noonan, we're putting you first.
Before we go, a very happy birthday to our 39th president. And
over 200 years ago, and it sits right here at the Jimmy Carter Center. Now today, this Peace Bell now has a brand new bell tower to house it. The bell was originally given to President Jimmy Carter back in 1985 as a gift signaling a peaceful relationship between Japan and the United States, which at the time both had a war-torn background. Now today, a ceremony was held honoring that peace between the two countries. 8th birthday. This is a goal the Carpenters purposely tried to meet, and you can see they met that goal here with this beautiful bell tower. Reporting in Atlanta, Bridget Spencer, Atlanta News First.
And thanks for watching Atlanta News First at 7 o'clock. I'm Tracy Hutchins. Make sure you come back and join us tonight at 11.
Atlanta. Life around here is something special. That's why we're putting you first.
Accountability from us and those in power.
More solutions that put money back in your pocket. More hope.
That puts you first.
We are Atlanta News First.